Give me a sec, I gotta remember to start the music too. Ooh, creepy music. Ah, ooh, ominous. Ah.
Music I can't hear. Ooh.
That's on you.
No, it isn't really.
I mean, I could share this, but like, meanwhile, the other tab I have open is what's better than a corgi? Like, I don't want to talk about it. Here, I'll do this for
Really
you.
good book.
No. Anyways, okay. So you can listen along. So,
Thank you.
hello. Welcome to Sadness. Today, we're going to be also happy Mother's Day. Happy month anniversary of our podcast that Sarah was not as enthusiastic about as I thought she would be.
I said A.
I literally said, we've done this for over a month, and I heard silence on the other end of the
I
line.
said A, and he just didn't hear it.
It's not that I didn't hear it, it's that you didn't say it. That's what it really is.
No, it's my Discord not picking up.
Okay, so anyways, that and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that don't watch us. Because I'm not counting Faye. Because it's not a real mother situation unless you count her cats that she doesn't actually have in her house.
At that point, you have to count Kester and Shinny too.
Why? Because Faye raised Kester and Shinny?
No, because they have pets.
Oh, well, you know, maybe. If that's what you want to consider. Anyway, okay, the music is loud for me, but you know what?
I turned it down, so.
Music's loud for me, but I don't think it's as loud on stream. If it is, I'm sorry.
Let me see. Let me see.
If it is, I apologize. Because I turned it down like to negative 12.5 decibels on stream. So whatever I hear, it's quieter than that.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, so today we're talking about conspiracy theories and or possibly creepypastas because of the crossover that I found in my thought process. And yeah, let's start off with, do you have any conspiracy theories that come to your mind of like well-known ones that you just automatically think of?
Flat Earth, the Illuminati.
Bush did 9/11.
Yeah, Bush did 9/11. Like those creepypastas a lot more come to mind because I think about those more.
What do you think about them?
Yeah, I like creepy stuff, so I look at creepypastas.
You say
a lot
you
more.
like creepy stuff, but you do not like horror games. You in fact actively hate horror games.
I hate playing them. I like watching them.
Yeah, but isn't reading them the same situation of like, what if that's real and it's coming to get me?
No, because I'm able to separate it. To be fair, the first time I watched, it was the first FNAF game theory when that came out, and I could not sleep that night.
From a game theory?
Yeah, but it was because it was talking about a real life crime scenario that happened.
What scenario?
How there was an actual massacre that happened in a Chuck E. Cheese in real life, and that he said it was based off, like FNAF was based off of that. FNAF 1 was based off of it, so for some reason that freaked me out. I mean,
oh my gosh, I completely forgot. Okay, hold on. I'm looking at the wiki right now and I'm completely forgetting about things, but seeing things that I forgot about.
Wow, Andrew, what are you saying wow to? Oh, back in the times when only one FNAF game.
Yeah, it was a different time. I mean, I'm sure there's conspiracy theories about the entire FNAF franchise.
Oh, probably.
But then again, I feel like there's also a lot of just theories because of MatPat.
another conspiracy that I know of because of MatPat. The Polybus one. Polybus? Is that what it's called? Polybius, yeah.
See, okay, that was one that I was going to talk about that kind of crosses over into creepypasta land. Because originally, I think it was kind of like this urban legend thing. I don't even remember where it was brought up. It had to have been brought up sometime on the internet. And I'm sure there's people that have done much more in-depth stuff about this, like videos and all of that. But it was brought up at some point on the internet of someone talking about it. And then I don't know whether or not it was because people thought that they had seen it or that they had played it. But then people started saying that, oh yeah, I remember seeing that and stuff. And it turned into this quote-unquote urban legend that was more leaned into the creepypasta realm because of how much it was not actually real.
It says on Wikipedia that it's an urban legend, but there is like some actual like fairly truth. I forget, I read something about it, but it was because some of the way that some old school arcade cabinets were made, it did cause stuff like seizures and everything because of just how it was built.
Well, that on top of the fact that it wouldn't surprise me if, like, there was some truth behind the government making a video game to test something. Maybe not that abstract, but, like, you know, that is a conspiracy theory. Let's talk about the government. The government has a lot of cover-ups. Area 51. I love the conspiracy theories surrounding Area 51. Also, just UFOs in general. I feel like that... which is funny considering the most recent, was it in 2021 or 2019 when the tapes were declassified?
I don't know.
All I remember is that for a really long time there had been like leaked footage of certain events from like fighter jets. Like they had cameras that were recording certain things, like when they would spot anomalies over while doing test flies or something. And recently, within the past couple of years, I don't remember if it was like a freedom of information or if it was just like how it came about, but they ended up declassifying a whole number of videos and some documents to some extent because they're still like redacted things, but that the government was literally confirming that they have a UAP task force, which is unidentified aerial phenomenon, because they wanted to move away from the term UFO because it sounded conspiracy theory like.
Yeah, but, I'm watching I was trying to do research.
But yeah, it's basically confirmed that the government's like, yeah, there's things we don't know about. Hi Mikey, welcome to the government's lying. And Sarah's got an all-seeing eye of places.
I think it's 2023 actually.
So really recent.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is like last year is what I'm seeing, so.
But yeah, it literally, that was just when it was fully confirmed and it was less speculation and more like, yeah, it's weird. That's all we're gonna say on it. And there was stuff that was even around like where we live. Granted, like not directly, but like around the coasts and stuff.
I don't know that one.
No. It was in those files. Like there were some of the cases were specifically done in that situation. Oh, the FBI. I feel like the FBI also just sus, you know?
Yeah.
Which, granted, I think that's kind of their job to be sus, but also to suss out people.
To be fair, this was about the Roswell incident.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The big old cover-up.
That's in Wisconsin. I'm trying to see.
Oh, have you heard about the blobs?
What blobs?
So, I don't remember when. I love how all of my stories start with I don't remember all the details. But at some point, I think it was either in early 2000s or like late 90s. In Washington State, close to the coastline on Washington State, there was this town that for like multiple weeks, these gelatinous blobs were raining from the sky. And the people that touched them fell violently ill. And there was this like one woman that specifically...
The Oakville blobs?
Yes. There was this one woman that was taking like samples and stuff because she was like, this is weird. And she was sending it off to like scientists and trying to get some kind of information as to what it was, like what it contained. And there was never whatever she sent it off to would consistently tell her different things of what it possibly contained. And so there was no like consistency into what was actually in this stuff. And the people of the town specifically remember seeing like a bunch of black helicopters flying over the town at specific points within that like month period. And so a bunch of people like to theorize that the entire incident was the government testing a biological weapon delivery system through the blobs, that you could like put stuff inside of the blobs to be dispersed among a large group of people.
They test that on
That's what you'd think, but they love testing stuff on their own citizens, and it's been documented that they do it.
Like what? What else?
I'm pretty sure they've literally done a biotest on the coast of California before, where they wanted to test how quickly a specific agent could spread within a city if introduced through the seashore line. And it wasn't anything that would cause like major sickness or like kill people, but it was enough to where they could get a sample to confirm how far it actually got within a certain period of time.
You know, if someone ends up knocking on my door at all during this, I'm gonna freak out.
You're fine. Listen, you suggested this as one of the possible ideas.
I did.
About. But yeah, hi Shinny.
Hi Shinny.
See, I don't know. See, okay, here's the thing. Let's talk about aliens.
We're jumping back.
Because we've talked about ghosts before, but now let's talk about aliens, because this is a bit more in line with the whole episode theory. Do you believe in aliens?
I think it's stupid not to, but I also don't care.
What do you mean you don't? Like, I got my own problems to deal
Yeah,
with.
it's like when they come down and they're like threatening my life or whatever, then I'll start worrying about them.
Do you think they'll threaten your life?
No.
I was about to say, of all things, you think of all people they're gonna come down and threaten your life?
It depends on there's a lot of, I can say a lot of things right now.
What do you know that they would want to threaten your life for?
I'm thinking like, what if their beliefs are more in line with the Republican Party?
Oh my gosh. Yes, who would have thought? But, you know, that's the other thing. A lot of people think that aliens have been, like, observing us and trying to guide us to a better society. And it's like, bitch, where? Because I feel like we still have a lot of issues going on in our society.
Sure, there is some crack theory that Greta Thunberg is, is an alien or something.
Oh, it's just like the lizard people and stuff. People think that a bunch of people have either been replaced or have always been lizard people in skin suits.
Have you seen like the stupid like quote unquote video proof of like celebrities doing Illuminati stuff?
Well, I think I know what you're talking about. Is it where you like briefly see them make an accidental triangle shape with their palm in like a frame of a video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, or like there's, oh, what's that one reporter guy? Illuminati reporter.
I think for sure though, as confirmed by the government at this point, there's a bunch of stuff going on around the Earth that we don't know what it is. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
For living on this planet, we don't know jack shit. Especially with our oceans. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, the oceans are their own living, breathing conspiracy theory.
The oceans are crazy.
The oceans terrify me. There are two places I never want to go, and that is to the bottom of the ocean and to outer space.
Well, I think you would die if you were at the bottom of the ocean.
Well,
and you would die if you were in outer space.
I meant if I could safely go there, like if I had the equipment in order to go there.
Well, it depends on what part of the bottom of the ocean you're talking about, because each part's a different depth.
I'm talking about like the deepest part.
I feel like it'd be interesting.
I don't want to know what's down there.
Well, no, I'm saying if I were to go down, it's a one-way trip. Like, I'm going down with the intention of I'm not coming back up.
I'm going down and I'm taking whatever knowledge I get down with me.
Kind of. And then with space, I think the concept of it's cool, but until we have better technology, I wouldn't want to go. Not like our technology is shoddy right now. It's more like I want space travel to be like in a futuristic movie.
Like where you can just cryo freeze and then you're
where
just
I can
there
like
when you
be
wake
put
up.
to sleep, or like it has its own gravity field and everything, so it's not weird in there. Like that's what I want.
I think going to space, like if I went to like the ISS, I think that would be fun, like for a trip, a day trip.
A day trip. Oh yes, a day trip to the space station orbiting our Earth.
Yes, I think that would be about as far as I would want to go. I'm good.
Not even to the moon.
Else. Maybe I could be convinced.
That's another big conspiracy theory.
That we didn't land on the moon, yeah.
That too, but I was talking about that the moon isn't real. The moon either isn't real or it's an alien plant. Not as in like it's a plant of aliens. It's like aliens put it there. I swear to you, I have heard, or that there's just like a bunch of aliens on the moon in hidden bases, and that's why the craters look so weird.
I've heard stupid people go like, we've never seen the other side of the moon, and I'm like, man, the moon orbits just as much. So we've seen the other side of the moon at some point.
Well, we
like it rotates too.
Because of where we are.
No, but I'm like, it's people on Earth have seen the other side of the moon. Like, my God.
I also remember relating to a moon that there's this one moon, I think that orbits, I want to say it's one of Mars's moons. But it's like it's either Mars moon or it's a moon closer to the sun. It is this really oddly shaped moon. It's not like round and spherical like our moon. It looks more like a lumpy rock, but it's a moon. And it, because of how oddly shaped it is and the pictures that people have seen of it, people think that it is a space station for aliens to specifically observe the planet. And when we have sent satellites or probes to go out and take pictures of it, they would take like 3 photos of it as they're approaching it, and then we would lose contact with the probes.
That's creepy.
And so people think that it was like shot down by the aliens because they're like, no, you don't get to look.
You don't get to know who we are yet. No.
But
I mean, that is pretty creepy. I like the conspiracy theories that are based in some sort of like almost truth. And
I mean,
Andrew's
that's kind of how
fact-checking me,
urban
by the way.
legends are.
Andrew's fact checking me. Humans from Earth have not seen the other side of the moon.
But
'Cause it is
humans from
apparently
the
entirely
moon. Humans from the moon. They've seen it. They're on the inside.
They're inside the moon?
Yeah. You know, I hate to break it to you, but it's probably just like the front side, but it's dark.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not much going on. I know people thought that Martians specifically existed on Mars because of the existence of the ice caps and stuff. And so they thought that it was just like it had shifted at some point and frozen, and that there used to be an actual society there.
Society there would have some sort of evidence.
Moonfall.
Yeah, I don't know what Moonfall is. Hollow Moon movie? An alien moon? You know I don't watch movies.
I mean, space in and of itself is a conspiracy theory because of how many things we just don't know about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, obviously this hasn't been proven because there's no way to actually prove this, but I know that there is at least a theory that if you go inside a black hole, it's like a wormhole and you would pop out somewhere else. And there's no way that you'd be able to test that. Like,
Yeah.
it's like Interstellar. People have this fascination with black holes and stuff, but it's like we would never be able to get that close.
I dream about that, Andrew, about the moon falling to Earth, not specifically aliens. Maybe
Isn't that just Majora's Mask plot?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's what would it take to cause the moon to actually fall into Earth? Something it would have to hit it like really hard.
Yeah, to break it out of Earth's orbit.
Like someone
probably.
gotta booty smack it and it gotta like fall. Because I don't think it is driven by the angry emotions that the Majora's Mask one is driven by. So I don't think it would just be like so mad it would fall out of the sky and then you have to fight a weird mask with tentacles inside of it. But that's just a theory.
A conspiracy theory.
Okay, but other than like space and stuff, one that I specifically forgot about was that people think that Avril Lavigne is a body double.
What?
People think that Avril Lavigne is a body double and that she was replaced. Specifically because they say she doesn't look the same as when she did in like 2002 versus like 2011. And they swear that after she released like her first album, I want to say, that she killed herself, and that because they saw how good this was doing, they replaced her with a body double.
What sort of proof is there for this?
There is no proof. What do you think? This is a conspiracy theory.
Listen, I have such a hard time with these because I'm like, give me proof.
There is no proof. Most of these don't have proof. Most of these are people saying, that's odd. Surely this is true. But yeah, if people think that she looks even slightly different, I would just say, people get plastic surgery. What do you want?
Like, especially, like, celebrities. They get plastic surgery. Why is Bible and Jesus on the list of conspiracy theories?
I mean, but also there's
racism on here.
There's so many conspiracy theories about celebrities just not being dead, and I think that just comes from people not wanting them to be dead.
Yeah,
like Elvis, people still think he's like somewhere in like the Bahamas or something. But yeah. Hi, George.
Oh, Puck?
What? Puck?
I'm looking at, I just looked up, I was looking up specifically conspiracy theories with truth, based on truth.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, I didn't get anything. But I'm at the Wikipedia page for a list of conspiracy theories. And one of the things I read is just crisis actors.
Oh, yeah. The ones that supposedly are hired to act out in emergency scenarios.
Yeah, crisis actors are individuals who portray disaster victims in first responder training exercises. Yes, those are real. Conspiracy theories allege that mass shooting and similar traumatic events are actually staged, with victims and their families being betrayed by covert crisis actors. Jesus Christ.
I'm surprised you've never heard of that before.
I think I've heard of it, like in like a passing by, where it's like someone accused someone of not, the people accused of like certain tragedies not actually happening, but those people were condemned pretty quickly.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of conspiracy theories, I really need to write down a list. I have planned this out. If I die and there is some kind of higher power that can actually answer all of my questions, I have a list that I want them to answer. And one of them is, what actually happened to Elisa Lam?
Lamb.
So, this happened. I don't remember. Hold on, I will look it up so I can give you details.
She's the
2013
the elevator lady.
Yes, she's the elevator. Isn't that nice that that's what her entire death and life is going to be? But no, Elisa Lam, she was a student, if I remember correctly. She was from Canada and she was a student in LA or something, and she was staying at the Cecil Hotel in 2013. And this hotel is like notoriously known for having a bunch of people like commit suicide there. And I don't understand how or why, but that is how the whole urban legend of it being like a scary haunted hotel that drives people to go crazy in it started, because it had like existed as a creepy hotel before she even showed up. But after she showed up, people hadn't heard from her in a while, and she had gone missing. But because she was alone in LA versus with like her family or something, which was back in Vancouver, no one was like talking about it. And the only reason that they actually started talking about it was because people in the building started complaining that their water was turning brown and smelled weird. And it's because when they checked the water tank, her body was in it.
Yeah.
And it had been in it.
She had been in it, and she was fully naked, and it was locked from the outside.
Locked from the outside. Her clothes were floating next to her.
Oh, I thought she was naked already before in there.
And it makes even less sense because the door to get up to the roof where the water tank was is locked, and you need a key to get up there. And there's also no way that she could have gotten into the water tank by herself,
on her own.
Close the door, because it's a tall water tank that there's like a 4 to 5 foot drop from the actual top entrance versus when the water starts. So she couldn't have even closed it if she wanted to. And that's where it was weird then. But then when they were like, what happened to her, they reviewed footage of her at the hotel, and the only footage that was captured is of the elevator footage specifically. Love that Lavender Town started. It was the elevator footage specifically, and it was only one clip of her that existed, and it was her going into the elevator, pressing a button to go to a floor. And the weirdest part is that the doors weren't closing, like nothing was happening, and it was only her in the video that you could see, but she was acting weird, and like she was like almost hiding from someone or something, and she was like feeling around the elevator like there was something there that no one else could see. And she like did this entire weird button ritual, and this entire time the elevator doors weren't closing, and she was just waiting in there. And then eventually she got out, and then no one ever saw her again.
And it's also like it wasn't some sort of power thing, because the cameras were still running.
Yeah, the cameras were still running, and you could still see the lights like on the elevator buttons lighting up, but nothing was happening.
Nothing was happening. That's the weird part, is that like nothing was happening on the elevator itself.
Some people have said that she was possessed. Some people have said that there was ghosts that she saw that the cameras weren't seeing. Some people said that there was a murderer that came in and killed her, and that makes sense with how she could have gotten into the water tank versus by herself. But even then, there's been no leads on this at all ever since this case happened. And it was I remember when I first heard about it, before they made like Netflix documentaries about it, it freaked me out, because I was like, this really doesn't make sense. And I genuinely don't know, unless it was like not a serial killer, but just a killer in general, but you would have had to have had some kind of connection to the hotel. And you would think that the police would have looked at the hotel, like all the staff there.
And you think there would be other cameras that would have picked it up too.
Exactly. She only was seen in the elevator camera.
Yeah.
And then no other thing saw her. It was just
and like
weird.
there had to be some sort of camera like in the stairwell or something, right? Leading up to the roof?
No. At least not that she showed up on. And a lot of other people have thought that because of whatever happened, it could have been a cover-up, and that's why it was never solved.
Cover up for what?
I don't know. A cover-up for someone that the police specifically were like, you know what, we'll let it slide. Because that's the only reason why it would make sense with like missing footage or something. Or the hotel specifically, someone in the staff didn't disclose the video information or erased it or something. But yeah, I remember that was just a big one that when I heard it, I was like, I want to know genuinely what happened.
Let's look at what Andrew's saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Because like other people, the whole reason that the hotel was considered creepy is because other people had like offed themselves there. But with her specifically, it made it so impossible sounding to how she could have done that to herself. And I think that's why people were so stumped about it. And a lot of people also said that she had like BPD. And I was like, I'm not sure BPD would make you go into a water tank by yourself under those mysterious circumstances.
Yeah. We're just covering stuff that's been covered in BuzzFeed Unsolved at this point. But have you heard about the Sutter children and or the, I can't pronounce it, Hinterkaifeck murders?
Hinterkaifeck. You know what? Go on. Tell me.
Okay, Sutter's children. Sutter's children was in West Virginia in 1945. That there was a big fire that happened.
Oh my gosh! Wait, I do think I've heard of this on BuzzFeed Unsolved. This is just us talking about BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah, at this point, that's all it is. But there was a big fire, and they don't know how the fire started, first off. But none of the children, there was like 5 children that were in the fire, and they have absolutely no idea where they went because there's no remains of them, and they didn't escape the fire as far as they know, but there is no remains from the fire that they were there and they died. And so the parents specifically were like,
where's our kids?
Where's our kids? Our children should still be out there. The other like thing is like the fire department took a long time to get there, like 2 hours, when it should have only taken like 30 minutes or something. And so they believe they were still like kidnapped, or the fire was planted and to try and get the kids. Like, there's a lot of just all this various stuff. I'm not explaining it well. Go watch BuzzFeed Unsolved if you want.
Go watch BuzzFeed Unsolved. But first, let us finish this episode. Then go watch BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Then go watch BuzzFeed Unsolved. Because I'm not gonna because I didn't do any research on this, and I watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved video like ages ago, so I'm rehashing what I can remember. But then the Hinterkaifeck.
God.
Because it's in Munich, Germany. It was this house is on a farm, and there were 6 victims who were murdered by, I believe, a pickaxe no, they were all found struck dead with a mattock.
A mattock?
Which is like a pick. I know it from Minecraft mods.
Of course you do.
Because it's like a pick and an axe together.
Okay.
It's basically an axe though. And the person who killed them had at least lived with the bodies, or lived in the house that they murdered them in for like 3 days at least, because the neighbors could see that there was still smoke coming from the chimneys and everything, and the animals were still being fed, and they have absolutely no idea what happened. Still.
Oh God. Your music turned even more creepy all of a sudden. But I mean, it would make sense if you didn't know what to do. Do people think that it was like a complete stranger, or that it was someone that knew them?
They think it had to be someone that knew them, I believe.
Welcome back, Mikey.
Oh,
Now
yeah,
we're talking about true crime.
4 of the dead bodies were found stacked up in the barn. The victims have been lured there one by one. Prior to the incident, the family and their former maid reporting hearing strange noises coming from the attic, which led to that maid leaving. Then they hired a new maid, and that maid died with them. I remember that part.
So the old maid got out quick. She said, hell no.
Yeah, less than a year after the murders and the murder investigations, the farm was completely demolished. Additional evidence was revealed, including a mattock hidden in the attic and a penknife found in the hay in the barn.
Odd.
Yeah.
See, that just sounds like a murder mystery along the lines of Clue or something.
Yeah. It's a lot more gruesome.
Yeah, I mean, whenever there's more than just one murder, it's always going to seem way more gruesome.
And then I just opened Google and it's like Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. What is a penknife? Is it just like a small knife?
Yeah, basically.
Just call it a small
It looks
knife.
like it looks like on one end it's a pen, on the other end it's a knife that has a cover on it.
That's odd. I mean, did they? Oh, okay, so they found the bodies, obviously.
They found the bodies and they were all stacked up on top of each other.
But how were they killed?
They were all struck to the back of the head with that axe.
Then what's the point of the penknife?
I don't know. They just said they found that in the attic with the axe.
Okay. Odd.
But there was like a baby too that died in that. I think the baby was killed in the crib, actually.
From the mattock?
I think.
There's always a couple of things. Oh, another one that I can think of, less gruesome to my knowledge, that I've always wanted to know was the Max Headroom stuff.
Max Headroom?
Yeah, it was old.
Oh, yeah,
the guy with the creepy mask who hijacked the TV and no one ever found him. And it wasn't just him, because there was other people that showed up in one of the things, like in maid costumes. But no one ever figured out who they were.
Who's also like having people spank him on live TV or something like that.
Yeah. And honestly, to this day, I just want to know who it is, and I want to congratulate them, because nothing bad happened and they got away with it. So like,
they did get away with it.
It was so interesting. I mean, there's also, I think, a lot of conspiracy theories, at least for quote unquote the younger generation, because we were raised, on the internet. A lot of the conspiracy theories revolve around like creepy videos that you don't know the origin of.
Yeah.
And so, like, I Feel Fantastic. Do you know that one?
I feel like I do. I'm scared to look it up, but I think I do.
It's this animatronic lady with a wig on and a turtleneck, and she's singing how she feels fantastic.
Yes.
And I remember the conspiracy theories about that video was there's this shot in that video where it's literally just the camera looking out like on a field or something, or like a backyard with a forest in the background. And people thought that video was a serial killer who had killed a bunch of people, and all of the different clothes and options and stuff that the little android woman was dressed in were different depictions of the women that he had killed, and that the shot of the background was showing where the bodies were buried. I remember that was a big conspiracy theory back in the day about that specific one, and I genuinely think it was someone just fucking around. But
absolutely.
But you know what? It worked. Cicada 3301. Mikey, don't get me started. Don't get me started. That's not even necessarily a conspiracy theory. That actually happened, though.
Talking about.
Okay, so basically, again, I don't know all the details. So
Is
you can
it
look
an ARG?
Yes, kind of. It was an ARG, but it was like an ARG that I don't think anyone ever officially solved publicly. Because the whole thing about it was that it was very vague, ominous, and kind of sounded like how the group Anonymous would just like reach out and try and find people, because it was essentially them looking for people but it was this really long ARG hunt with like real life locations in different parts of the world, and it was this long ass hunt that lasted for a long time, and there were like threads and stuff dedicated to trying to solve certain steps of it, and to my knowledge no one ever solved it publicly. Like, and so, which makes me think the conspiracy theory behind it is obviously who is the mastermind behind it, what kind of organization / group is the mastermind behind it, and then also for the people that did solve it, was their prize just getting into that organization, and that's why no one ever said anything.
People are saying that QAnon created.
Who?
Or Cicada 3301 had created QAnon.
What's QAnon?
You don't know what QAnon is?
No.
QAnon is like the modern crack theory of conspiracies right now.
I still don't know what that means.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I'm getting my facts right.
Sarah has to explain this to me.
It is a right-wing conspiracy group. So it's very political.
As in like
I believe they're the ones that believe Trump is the second coming of God or something like that.
And people think that they're the ones that started Cicada, or Cicada was started that?
No, they think Cicada started QAnon.
But the things you had to do in the Cicada hunt felt like smart stuff, and I don't know if I saw a group like that. Yeah,
considering when I scroll down, the first thing I see is Pizzagate.
Pizzagate. Oh, you want to talk about conspiracy theories? The gay agenda. The amount of people that think we really just have something going on. I wish I knew. I wish I knew what the agenda was.
I wish so too.
Because I feel so much more out of it right now.
Before we do that, I want, since we're talking about ARGs. Were you on Tumblr when the entire Angel ARG thing was going on?
I'm gonna say no, but if you start speaking, I might get a clue.
It was based around this fake porn bot that kept messaging people saying, "Hey P-Brain, can you teleport?"
That just sounds like something I would do. And what was the conspiracy theory?
It was an entire ARG that was happening. And
so it was like a real ARG.
Yeah, it was an actual ARG. Except they said it. Someone says it isn't an ARG, but more of an interactive story being told, because there was no puzzles or gates to pass aside from images hidden in sound files, and one interactive section that required people to post in pictures. It was mostly the story of a guardian angel named Max who had become trapped in limbo, and her efforts to escape so she could reunite with her charge, a 15-year-old girl called Anita. Information was posted mostly through a Neocity's website that updated daily and supplemented by a third character, Sentes, who, as it turned out, also turned out to be an angel banished from heaven for opposing the natural order of things. The antagonist who Max was hiding from was called Hurl, the hierarchy of universal resource locators, which tied into the lore of the contemporary angels being inherent to the internet.
Wow, this sounds up the alley of me explaining Luna lore to you.
I remember when it was happening, and I was looking at everything. I was looking at people explaining what was going on, and I'm like, what in the fuck am I experiencing right now?
I mean, it seems interesting enough. I have no clue how you'd be able to explain that kind of stuff through a Tumblr ARG.
There was a lot. Well, it's like spread through Tumblr, but it wasn't mainly on Tumblr. As far as I know.
I imagine, at least from what I've seen, especially with the Cicada stuff, a lot of people just end up spreading it throughout different websites.
Yeah.
So, and you have to follow like the trail essentially.
Mikey did bring up a conspiracy though. What about the people that think birds aren't real?
Someone follows me on Instagram. There's this account that said birds aren't real, and they followed me on Instagram a while back. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they think that all birds are drones.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is that like birds are drones or robots and everything, just spying on people.
But that's the thing. Birds have existed before drones were a big thing, especially in that small of a compact form.
I think the main thing is that like pigeons specifically are the drones.
I feel like that's less fun.
Hi, Mikey.
Hi, Mikey. I know conspiracy theory. A home cooked one, let me tell you.
What?
All You've heard this before. You've been with us. All of the animals in Disney are animatronics.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair one, actually.
All of the birds, all of the rabbits, everything that you see, we've seen deer, like straight up deer in the Disney area, and they just don't care about people. And so my family constantly says all of the animals within the Disney property line are animatronics that are just test sites for like them to perfect their stuff. But yeah. Ooh, I know. Do you know about chemtrails?
That the stupid airplanes are making, like, whenever there's the airplanes that have like the trails behind them, those are chemicals being put into the air, something like that.
Yeah, it's similar kind of like to how fluoride's in the water. But that's like true. But like they think it's for specific reasons. But
you know, Andrew, I hope Australia isn't real.
Sadly, I think it is.
Oh.
I mean, it's an island like off by itself essentially, but it's a pretty big island. Pretty big island that's pretty not inhabited because of how bad it is.
Yeah. There was a theory that like, Norway wasn't real or something like that.
Why Norway specifically?
I don't remember why. Let me Google.
I mean, there has to be a reason.
Norway isn't real.
Ted Cruz being the Zodiac killer.
Oh, beloved. Yes.
That was a big one. It makes no sense either. I never saw the resemblance to him in the sketch that was made.
Well, not Norway, Finland. Finland is
two
real.
Very different countries. Although I'm sure I would not be able to tell you the difference between them.
That's what they say. It says, quick, name one fact about Finland.
I think that's just, if you're asking Americans information about like the world, you're not gonna find people that know a lot. And you know what? I am okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing a lot and also admitting that I don't know a lot. I know I'm stupid.
Same.
Ooh, I know. This one could be a fun one. What about the people, first of all, the anti-vax people, but then specifically the anti-vax people that think that vaccines cause autism?
Oh my God. Have you watched H Bomber's video essay about this?
No.
You should. I recommend everyone to go watch H Bomber's response
right after you
to
watch
anti-vax.
BuzzFeed Unsolved stuff, go to the H Bomber video.
After this, go watch BuzzFeed Unsolved and then go watch H Bomber guys' video essays.
If you ask Sara nicely, she'll make a playlist for you.
I will. But of all the references that we've made in this one episode, but the entire reason that the entire vaccines cause autism thing happened is because a stupid guy who I think his name was Andrew.
Wow.
Anti-vax guy. What was his name? Andrew Wakefield.
Wow.
Yep. Andrew Wakefield was a guy who he wasn't even actually trying. At first, he was trying to prove that vaccines cause autism or that there was a link. First off, the actual study he did, there's no actual proof that that there was any link.
I mean, duh.
Second off, but he tried to spin it to people that it was. It was not peer reviewed. It was not recreated. It is not an actual scientific thing because it was never actually scientifically done. But specifically, he was trying to get money from people by convincing them that they could cure autism with this one specific guy's bone marrow injected into them.
Why that specific guy?
Because the guy said it worked.
He just said it worked and people
Literally,
believed him.
I'm not kidding. That is basically what it was. It says this one guy said, hey, inject my bone marrow into you guys and you'll cure autism. And people believed it.
There are people that also believe that their piss cures everything.
Yeah.
They'll like drink it, they'll put it in their eyes, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Honestly. Hear me out.
Maybe was Wakefield the one that... No, yeah, Wakefield is the one who... Yeah, Wakefield is the one who did that. And because of that, because of this stupid, because of this this dude who made basically an entire fake study with a bunch of just not scientific stuff, now a bunch of people refer to it as being the reason why vaccines cause autism, even though if you read the stupid study, you can come to the conclusion yourself that it does not cause autism.
That's the funny part, though. Kind of, I say funny. It's funny, haha, in a way, to people that don't necessarily believe them all the time. But, like, it's also frustrating because there's the people that do believe them. That because of this day and age and the internet, and with people's short attention spans, even people that were from, like, an older generation, because of them not necessarily either wanting to read or not going through and doing their own specific research that actually would yield results that are true, it's so easy to spread misinformation and create a conspiracy theory. Like, I think, of all times, I feel like this is the easiest time to spread misinformation and have a bunch of people believe you.
I think, say what you will about the differences between the older generations and then this generation, but I will say I think that this generation has gotten a lot better at critically thinking because we have to spot all of these, like, what's real and what isn't, while older generations just take what they are told. Because we were terrified
of creepypastas and we didn't want them coming to kill us in the middle of the night. We had to verify.
It's funny that we're the ones that are, like, constantly on edge because it was their generation that constantly told us everyone on the internet's out to kill you. And it's like, what? They're gonna kill you or they're gonna sexually assault you, and
it's also,
that's the only two options.
I mean, to be fair, it's also not necessarily their direct generation, but older people that were typically the ones that made a bunch of the good creepypastas that were well written. So, like, they literally instilled fear into us as children. But yeah, you know, I mean, one of the creepypastas that I thought when I read it as a child, genuinely believed, because I thought it was
cut out.
No, I didn't say it yet, but it was a creepypasta that I genuinely believed because I thought it sounded real enough to me that I was like, surely, if this was happening, how could people not know that this was going on? Was the Russian sleep experiment.
Yeah, that's fair.
And reading it now, obviously, you're like, wow, it really went off the rails at the end. But, like, yeah. When you're reading that as a child and you just see the name Russia and you, like, that automatically is like, oh, that's a real place. It's rooted in reality. And then it's just, that terrified me so much, especially because the image attached to it was very creepy at the time. I don't even know what that image is from necessarily. It's probably just a photo edited one, but, like, the entire story freaked me out because I was like, oh my gosh, what if that's inside of me? What if I'm also evil? What if I'm an animal waiting to be unleashed? And then I turned into a furry. But I came back from that. So, you know, it's fine. Did you believe any creepypastas were real when you were a kid?
There is one creepypasta that I remember reading that still kind of messes with me to this day.
Is the well-known one?
I don't even know. I know it from from a Halloween episode of the Yog Pod.
Classic.
So it's from the Yog cast. Yes. But they were just reading creepypastas or scary stories or something. It might not even technically be a creepypasta, but it was a scary story. Mm-hmm. Where this person was out for a late night walk, and there was someone who was just following behind them. Mm-hmm. And slowly walking and everything, and they were just staring at them and just following them, and they were just, like, right at the end of, like, where you can barely see them.
Mm-hmm. Like, that's how far away they were?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the person started walking faster, and so then the person following started walking faster, and it eventually got to the point where the person who was following them started running at them, and so they started running.
Oh no, that is terrifying.
Yeah, and so to this day, if I ever had to go out at night, I would constantly be looking, and if I saw anyone, I would just be like, huh?
I feel like that's less of a creepypasta and more of just, like, scary stories you'd hear on Reddit.
Yeah.
But I think, generally speaking, the thought of someone like chasing you and you're alone is terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I remember there's this one time that I went walking around neighborhoods around here during Christmas time to look at Christmas lights. It was a long story, but I was alone and it was nighttime and I was at least like one neighborhood over from where I live. And so it would have been a decent run back. And I was just walking around this neighborhood I'd never been in before, by myself, at night. And there was this guy that was circling around this cul-de-sac. See, I should have known not to go into a cul-de-sac because there's only one way out of it. But I went into this cul-de-sac. There was this guy that was just like walking around. I don't know what he was doing. He gave me a off-putting vibe, should I say. And I remember in my mind, I was thinking to myself, if you show fear, he'll start chasing you. And so I was like, I put on my bitch face and I was like listening to music and I was like trying to not show any emotion or just look like I was pissed off, because then maybe he wouldn't want to mess with me. And I remember as I was leaving the cul-de-sac, I swear he started following me. And so I like I darted down this one street that I didn't know whether or not it went further into the neighborhood or if it went closer to the entrance where I could actually leave. And the minute I like turned the corner, I started running. Like I was full blown running to see how much distance I could make. And then when I turned behind me, no one was there. And so it was freaky. It was a scary moment, but you know, I didn't die.
Thank God.
Hashtag gay agenda. It was protecting me the entire time, really.
Do you believe in the entire, if the vibes aren't right, nothing bad can happen to you?
I'd like to, but I think that only works if the vibes aren't right for everyone involved. So like in that scenario, I was listening to music, it was in headphones. So unless I started blasting Carmel Dancing on my phone, like at him, I don't think it would have changed anything.
I absolutely would have. I would have put on a silly playlist and would have been like, yeah, come at me. You can't beat me.
Oh, that's not true though. They would definitely beat you. And then imagine you're getting beat up to clown music. Like I feel like that's a separate I feel like that's a separate issue. But yeah, it's fine. I mean, I feel I've definitely had moments like in my house when I was alone where I felt creepy. Not in the sense of like, ooh, someone's in the house, but in the sense of like, I don't know. We've always joked about our house being haunted, even though there's no reason it would ever be haunted. But I just start playing really loud music. That makes absolutely no sense for what it is. Like K-pop. I'll just start like dancing to K-pop around the house in the middle of the night. But yeah. Would you consider Herobrine a creepypasta or a conspiracy theory or both?
Herobrine.
You know, I didn't ask you, do you know how his name is pronounced?
He's a creepypasta.
But I don't know. Well, also, what do you consider a creepypasta in the sense of, do you think it has to be perpetuated by a younger audience? And that's one of the key elements of a creepypasta.
Is more based around existing media, while conspiracy theories are based around more real life aspects.
I mean, to be fair, Herobrine was always acknowledged in the patch notes.
That is true.
So, I don't know.
But I think because of how Herobrine came to be, it's more of a creepypasta than it is a conspiracy theory.
Probably. I do remember it freaked me out though. I would never go into caves alone.
Do you look back at any old creepypastas because you're like, oh, these are kind of now nostalgic, and you're like, wow, why did I believe this when I was younger?
Oh, for sure. A lot of them. See, because another thing that happens when you grow up is you realize that a lot of the creepy stuff was just PNGs of childhood media characters with blood dripping from their eyes and no irises. Like, that's kind of their scare tactic.
Wrong. And now nowadays we're just like, yeah, this makes the character cool.
Nowadays I'm like, I have a character that's like that. Let's be real. There's probably a character that I have that is exactly like that. But I don't know.
One
Also,
creepypasta that I remember that is very fond to me for some reason. I've reread it a lot of times for some reason. But it was specifically a Powerpuff Girls creepypasta. And it was like that someone found this, as you do, you found a VHS tape at a garage sale.
yeah.
And it was like, I think Buttercup killing everyone.
Sure.
And then like staring into the TV like they're gonna kill you next or something like that. And for some reason I was fascinated with that as a child.
Did you like the Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, I love the Powerpuff Girls.
Well, there you go. That's why you wanted to kill everyone.
Let me see if I can find it.
I know.
Lost episode. Yep, here it is.
That's the other thing. There's always a lost episode. For every TV show you can think of, there is a lost episode that supposedly depicts someone dying. Like a beloved character dying of some, either by their own hands or by someone else's. Because I remember there were SpongeBob ones. It was like Squidward's last day or something. And I think there's the Mickey Mouse AVI one.
Oh, I'm sorry, you cut out. What did you say?
There's the Squidward's last day one, and then there's like the Mickey Mouse AVI one. Those are the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. And then there's like all the video game ones related to, like the Sonic.exe. Oh my gosh, I couldn't get away from that. That kept showing up everywhere.
Yeah, it was called Buttercup.avi is the one I remember
It's always, they're like, ooh, what, you know what's creepy? File names. That's what's creepy. Because there's so many .exes, .avis. It's so stupid.
I mean, I think that's rooted in like the
it's like the digital
computer
era.
virus stuff. Yeah. But like the I love you virus and everything like that. Those are creepy in a way because they actually did damage.
I mean, all of the viruses back then that specifically are like well known and stuff, I feel like those are less creepy solely because I know that there's a person behind it that probably was just fucking around. Which is kind of similar to, like, I guess conspiracy theories to, in a way. Not conspiracy theories, creepypastas in a way, because obviously someone had to write it. But I feel like because, especially when you're a child and you're reading that and you're like in the zone in a bad way. Oh god. And you're in the zone in a bad way. It makes you even more susceptible to like thinking of all the possibilities, like when you're trying to go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
for the longest time, this isn't even a creepypasta, but you know the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books?
I know of them. I had never read them though.
Well, there's this one story. The funny part, I literally read about this later on in life because I had always wondered why was that in my library in elementary school. But that was in my library in elementary school. People would rent it out. I was one of those people, and I read this one story that was called like The Big Toe. And honestly, I know, right? It gets even weirder. Literally, the way, from what I remember, and the story is like ingrained in my brain at this point, and I'm sure it's different than how it was actually intended to be taken, but in my mind, it was this little kid that like was wandering around in a field or something, and he saw this giant big toe sticking out of the ground. And you know what he did? You know what his first instinct was? I'm gonna just pick it right off the ground. He did that, and then you're never gonna guess. He took it home, and you know what they did? They ate it for dinner. They ate the big toe for dinner because he took it to his mom, and she's like, I can make a dinner out of this. So they ate the big toe. And then later that night, when he's in his bed, he starts hearing someone say, quote unquote, where's my big toe? And at first, it starts off really far in the distance, but as it keeps repeating, it slowly starts getting closer until eventually it's in the house and it's right behind him. And that story used to terrify me so much, even though it's so stupid. Because, okay, the thought of literally a kid picking up a big toe and then having it for dinner with his mom that evening, like, is so stupid to me. And I remember I read this book in, like, 4th grade. And later on in life, I Googled, what is with these books being in libraries for elementary school kids? And apparently, it was a whole thing of, like, parents being like, get this off the shelf because this is so bad for kids. That's the same thing where that Thing image came from my sleep paralysis thing, because I read that and that was him like coming out of a cornfield on the other side of a street. Like, it was terrifying to children, and I'm sure some of the children were okay, but I was not one of those okay children.
We should do a mini book club where we just read those.
Oh God, I don't want to relive my trauma.
I want to read them now. I'm curious.
It's so stupid. And that's the thing, you know, they made a movie about it, a Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie about it. And I remember I saw that and they had the big toe person in it, but it was not at all like what I imagined them looking like. Like, they looked like a straight up zombie in the movie, but in my mind it was always like this mysterious hulking figure that you would never see until you just like died. Like, because they described the toe as being like this massive toe that you could eat for dinner. Like, what do you imagine is attached to that?
They did say that specifically it was big enough to be it was carved into 3 pieces. So
oh, you're looking up the big toe story?
I looked it up, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nice and plump, she said. I'll put it into the soup and we'll have it for supper.
Yep. I hate that it's so ingrained in my memory that I know that story now. That it will never leave me.
I've read a lot of the I'll Survive books.
Oh, those were terrifying.
Those, yeah.
Because they were made
scary.
to be real.
Yeah. And I've read, I think, the 9/11 one, the Chicago Fire one. I think I read the Titanic one. But I loved those books for some reason when I was younger. Why are they giving I Survived 9/11 to like 9-year-olds? I don't understand the logic behind that. I think it was meant to be historical as well, so you could like learn about it.
I don't need to learn about it through the trauma of someone's eyes. Like,
oh, no. You want to know what was really traumatic?
Oh, no.
9th grade.
Oh, no.
9/11, my history teacher would play these videos explaining 9/11 and everything and going through it. And it had like footage of people jumping off the towers and everything. And
I remember when we saw pictures of that stuff too in class.
Yeah, and it was really fucking disturbing. And I remember senior year, I'm pretty sure, and I had to comfort one of my poor little trumpet kids because she just saw that and she was crying and having a break.
Little trumpet kids.
Yes, she was a part of my trumpet section, and I was the section leader, so I considered her a part of my my responsibility. And she came into band class one day, and she was sobbing and having a breakdown because she had to watch that in history class because she was a freshman. So she watched it, and I'm just like, I got you. Don't worry, I've got you. It's okay. Just trying to comfort her. Yeah.
I mean, to some extent, maybe not to that extreme, but like to some extent, I understand why educating people on like past events in history is important, but also like, I'm not saying have like a trigger warning, but maybe like know your audience and know the fact that maybe you shouldn't be saying certain things and showing certain things to high schoolers. Like, you can talk about a genocide, don't show pictures. Honestly, it might just be better if you tell us about it and then you let us process it in our minds, you know?
Yeah.
Because like,
showing
you can say, sure, there were some people that decided that there was no way down, and so that was the way they did. You could just frame it like that. You don't need to show it. You don't need to show the journalistic photos and videos of it.
You don't need to show it and then have that video explain that you could hear them fall, like landing on the ground, like it sounded like gunshots.
Or
like
you don't need to explain. You hear that whistling in the back? That's the screaming. Like you don't need that.
Like my God.
But yeah, that's high school trauma. That's one facet of high school trauma, to be honest.
Different pod episode. Did you ever have to watch? I know we're delving into something different, but did you ever have to watch the Boy in the Striped Pajamas?
Boy in the Striped Pajamas? No.
You don't know about the Boy in the Striped Pajamas?
No, what is it?
So, okay.
Remember, I wasn't in public school.
No.
So maybe this was a public school thing.
Maybe. It's a book too, but we watched the movie. And
you got a movie day.
We had a movie. I think it was like 2 movie days actually. But because it was a little longer because it was a movie, duh.
Yeah.
But it's set in Nazi Germany.
It already bodes well.
And it is about this German boy who moves, and because his father is a Nazi general who is moving to take care of a concentration camp.
Sure.
And they apparently live close to this concentration camp, and it is centered around this boy not having any friends and seeing the small boy on the other side of the fence in the concentration camp and making friends with him. And then at the end of the movie, they both end up getting accidentally ushered into the gas chamber and dying. And it is a very controversial.
At least they died together.
It's a very controversial thing because it's painted so that you feel more for the German kid rather than the Jewish kid, and that you feel more bad about the fact that, oh, he shouldn't have, like, the German kid should not have been in there and everything. It's like instead of
no one should have been in there.
Yeah, instead of realizing that no one should have been in there. So it's a very controversial thing, but I remember seeing that and it was just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, speaking of Nazis, to tie it back to the conspiracy theory, there was the entire conspiracy theory. Was it that Hitler was either not dead or that he specifically was killed, like, by his family?
Why? Wait, what? He killed himself.
Well, no. That's the thing. People here, hold on. Let me.
I'm confused. What is this conspiracy theory that we already know the answer to?
Oh, right. I forgot the Nazi UFOs too, but that's a separate thing.
What?
Because people think. Listen. Oh, and then the gay Nazis. Here, we'll get into it. I have to do my own research to make sure I got it. Okay, so if I remember correctly, basically, as you know, committed suicide. At least, like, widely accepted, he committed suicide. But a lot of people think that it was a ruse and that he specifically lived on and disguised himself, and that the person that they found was a body double. Like, I'm pretty sure it had to do with something along the lines of, like, at some point they had his remains. I don't remember if it was the CIA or something. They had his remains, and someone either made the error or said that the skull that was associated with his name was actually a woman's skull. And so a bunch of people took that and ran with it and said, oh, he must have disguised himself and lived on past when he supposedly died to escape the consequences of his actions. And then the Nazi UFOs, I'm pretty sure the whole point of it was that people thought that the Nazis had either, like, that they had gotten crashed UFOs or something and were reverse engineering it to make these, like, scary spaceships. Or I think it also had to do with people thought they saw, like, flying saucers, and because it was the time that it was, like, during the World Wars, that they thought those spaceships slash flying saucer shapes were actually Nazi ships, even though they might not have been affiliated like whatsoever.
Like stopped by to like check up on us, and they saw what was going on. They're like, all right, and then they left.
See, and that's why I'm like, you think they're driving us to be better as a society? Girl, the things that have happened in this society on this Mother's Day.
If they were trying to drive us to be better, they would have seen what was going on and would have acted as a higher being and like came down and actually, no, they wouldn't even need to act. They would just need to be like, hey, stop what you're doing, and we would have believed that they were a higher being, because we wouldn't know any better, and they would just be like, God. And so
yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people say about aliens, like ancient aliens, and specifically with like, you know, Egypt or like Mesopotamia or the Aztecs, or anyone that had any kind of like pictorial art form that specifically showed things that we don't inherently recognize. They think that whatever we don't recognize, and with like some of the structures that, it wasn't just the Egyptians that have built crazy things that have like made scientists and like archaeologists and not paleontologists, what's the name for people that study culture?
Culture studiers.
This is what I'm saying. I'm not smart. All I know is that it makes people wonder how they did that, and a bunch of people
Anthropology?
Yes, and a bunch of people, anthropologists, equivalent it to the fact that ancient aliens were quote unquote helping the human society at that time in these like remote areas. And I think a lot of people thought, especially with like these remote areas that like no one else had ever been to before, where these giant structures were made and no one knows how they could have done it so precisely. Of course, people are quick to blame aliens for the fact that it looks that nice. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, you're discrediting all these people's hard work for making this like really good statues and buildings.
They built these giant pyramids, and you're saying that they had outside help? Like, oh my god.
Seriously. And
you're discrediting all of their hard work.
That has been a giant conspiracy theory for a long time.
Oh,
because
yeah.
obviously there's no proof that you can find that aliens helped them with it. The most that they point to is like all of the pictorial references in like hieroglyphs or any kind of images that reference things that we've never seen before, or like reference weird shaped humanoid figures. And they're like, well, those were the aliens. They did this. And so, yeah. And then, of course, gay Nazis.
Oh, yeah. What's it going on about
the gay
that?
Nazis, I'm pretty sure, was just propaganda specifically put up to be like, of course the Nazis were gay. Because they already had issues with gay people. So then they were trying to force gay people into, like, they were Nazis. So it was just a different form of prosecution, you know. Not prosecution, persecution. Prosecution's different. That's in the law. None of this was lawful. But yeah.
What do you think about the Men in Black conspiracy theory?
That they exist, or?
Yeah, that they exist, and they're there specifically to like get people to stop talking about aliens.
I think the Men in Black in specific, well, first of all, anyone can wear a suit. But
have you heard about the specifics about them?
I mean, I've heard specifics of like, it's from what I've heard from different accounts, obviously not firsthand, but like from other people giving accounts on different situations, whether it be UFOs or even the blobs, like that was something that happened too with that woman who had her story, that all of the Men in Black don't always share the same characteristics, and that some of them look way less human in the sense of like having no hair or anything, and then some of them just look like normal guys but just are suspicious because they're asking questions about stuff that people are like, why are you here?
Yeah.
So like, to some extent, no matter what, I think the government, like the CIA, FBI, whatever you want to say, is specifically behind this, or some third party that we're not even, like, we don't know about. It would make sense that there's some kind of like cover-up division meant specifically to find, identify, and figure out what the damage control needs to be. But I don't think it's like the movies, nor as crazy as they're gonna, well, no, they could kill you. That's the thing, because there's so much unknowns. It's like you don't know if they are a real thing, and if they do in fact come up to people And if the damage control happens to be this person needs to be eliminated and no one needs to know about it, then obviously we're not going to know anything and people are just going to disappear. But I could 100% see it just being a thing. Them just existing.
Yeah. Have you seen the video evidence of the Men in Black sort of thing?
I've seen, I think, one that I can think of, and it's like a terrible grainy footage.
It is, yes.
So it's not like you're gonna see much details or anything. But then also, again, anyone can wear a suit, anyone can wear a trench coat, anyone can pluck out their eyebrows. Like,
people were pointing out how tall they were too.
See, again, like, that's not the only time that I've heard descriptions of like Men in Black. That's the only time that I think I've heard of them specifically having like weird characteristics that made them like, not that they weren't human, but like uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact that most of the time, at least for most of the things that I've heard, they look like normal people. They're just very suspicious. And they're always just in the black suits. You know what? You'd think they should get a better uniform if they wanted to blend in. Because everyone's gonna look at you when you're in a black suit in a rural town in like Montana. Like,
in the middle of summer.
And apparently, you know what? They're fine. Maybe they removed their slut glands. Maybe that's what it was.
Why did it sound like you said that they removed their slut glands?
Maybe that too. Maybe they aren't slutty anymore. That's why they're all covered up. Because they want to make sure that they don't, you know, get anyone excited.
It's not working for some people.
It's true. Wait, what? What do you mean? Some people are turned on by them?
Oh, I'm sure.
Look up Men in Black fan fiction.
Oh,
not the movie. I'm not looking for Will Smith fan fiction. That's not what I'm looking for. Oh my gosh, did you know there's a thing such as the gay mafia?
What is that? I mean,
honestly, give me a gay mafia boss boyfriend.
I mean, I know like another word for the LGBT community is alphabet mafia, but
no, I've never heard of that. I mean, see, the funny thing is there's this joke that sticks with me and it will forever stick with me because of how stupid it was when I came across it and how much I laughed for no reason. But it revolves around LGBTQ plus. And I remember I don't even remember what the video itself was about, but it had that in it. And the person in this one comment on Instagram said, I said that and shit on my dresser started floating. And I thought that was so funny to me because I was like, yeah, you're casting a spell when you say it. Because instead of spelling it out, it's like they actually said it somehow. And I don't know, I found that so hilarious to me. Do you like fluoride?
Like, do you mean like when I'm getting my teeth cleaned? What?
I mean, in general, like they pump it into the water system. Are you okay with that? It's been confirmed that they actually put it in the water.
It's like to clean it or something?
No. It's to prevent tooth decay.
Oh, I mean, I'm fine with that.
But some people have thought that the whole reason that they actually put it in wasn't necessarily to prevent tooth decay for everyone, but more so to alleviate the problem of homeless people not having access to dental insurance. But then I'm thinking, who's drinking from, like, that's not, no. That's not how it works.
Where are homeless people getting their water from, kind of a thing?
The lakes. I'm in the river.
No, stop.
I am. I'm in the river. Ooh. There is always, I always forget about it, but all of the stuff related to our food, like GMOs, aspartame, or worse. That technically does refer to food, if you think about it, but the climate change and how people don't think it's happening.
Oh yeah.
At all. or has happened at all, and they think that this is how Earth is going to stay the entire time, even though I swear to you, the summers recently have been much hotter.
Oh, they have been. Yes, they have been.
And this is related to food because guess what? Methane is a greenhouse gas, and who produces methane? Cows.
Cows.
And who eats cows? People. I'm not saying don't eat cows, I'm just saying eat less. Because also think of the moo. Think of their little face. Thank you for coming to my TikTok. Thank you.
This is my thing for veganism.
Which is funny considering I'm not a vegan. But yeah, you know what? I think with that in mind, and how badly that was worded, I think this is when we should probably call it.
Probably.
Plus, I don't know, dinner might be here. We'll see. And Sarah doesn't know whether or not she's gonna eat dinner.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
I'm
considering
and if you're gonna keep us all in the loop.
I might go to Culver's. I don't know yet.
Get a good cheese curd and have a nice time.
Yeah, I'm considering
or concrete mixer.
Maybe both.
Cheese curd in the concrete mixer?
No.
Do you not,
I'm not that crazy.
Do you not like mixing salty with sweet? Some people dip their fries in milkshakes.
Not big of a fan of it.
Have you tried it?
I have. I did used to like it, I think, but I don't like it anymore.
It's okay, George. She's not like me. She can have dairy and she won't explode.
No, I might be lactose intolerant.
Well, never mind.
Just not as much.
Are you saying you want me to bring over some Lactaid next time I come?
I have Lactaid.
Okay.
I don't know where it is right now, but I have it.
Somewhere.
It's somewhere in my boxes.
Never mind. Thank you guys for watching / listening. I hope our rants entertain you briefly. This music is going crazy now as if we're winding down. But yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do next time. We'll decide. We might do just us two again. We'll see. Unless we can bag Hide, then I think he deserves his own episode with us.
Oh, absolutely.
But other than that, no Mandela effects. That could also be in conspiracy theories, honestly. You know what? We might do a part 2 talking about conspiracies and creepypastas again. Because
yeah, this time we'll do research so we can actually properly talk about it. So he has to tell me what we're gonna talk about.
Hey, you are the one that suggested this.
But I didn't know, so I didn't prep.
And also, I didn't want to have to prep. Are you kidding me? I was like, let's just look up Wikipedia. We can talk about it for anything. But yeah. So thank you all for watching. See y'all later. Bye.